at Ruston, and others who had tried to desegregate facilities, I believe, in the 40s, early 40s. And in fact, I wasn't even born during that time. But the history is there, and I'm very, very honored and very glad to be a part of it.
So let's talk about the efforts to integrate public accommodations, hotels and restaurants, like Pickricks and Heart of Atlanta Motel, and the refusal of those owners to serve.
By that time, I was working with SCLC, and Lester Maddox was very vocal and very adamant that he was going to keep his Pickwick restaurant as he saw fit, segregated. And we went out and marched. We went out and joined the groups to march on the Pickwick, and we were faced with the axe handles. I remember at one point, he was actually crying. He was just, he believed that he was just that adamant about not desegregating his restaurant. And he had a lot of blacks who worked for him. And ironically, those black people that worked for him loved him dearly, and he loved them. So it was an interesting phenomenon, if you can call it that. But they said he was good to them. But of course, we had some blacks in Alabama who said that George Wallace was good to them too. So I wasn't one to challenge that, but I still felt we had the right to picket his restaurant as we did the others in Atlanta, and assert our rights to desegregate.
The Heart of Atlanta Motel?
Now, I didn't do the Heart of Atlanta. Some of my friends did. But I remember that, and I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember if Hosea Williams led that. I believe he did, but I didn't participate in that particular one. But Hosea was very formal, very, very strong-willed gentleman, was one of the henchmen, as they called him, for SCLC, and one of the front runners. He would go out and actually look at places that he felt, needed to be desegregated, and come back and bring it to the executive staff. And that was how they selected different places that we were going to integrate. But we were the babies. We were part of the secretarial staff. And Dr. King would have meetings with us, and staff meetings, and he would ask us if we thought we could go out and not be, and be nonviolent. And of course, some of us said yes, and some of us said no, especially when it came to spitting on us. That was a no-no. But through training and really learning about passive resistance, we all agreed to go out and do what we needed to do. And we were very happy to do it too. We were excited about doing it. It was the timing was right. It really was.
Okay. We talked a little bit about this mass demonstration that took part in Hurt Park, and after the March on Washington for Jobs. Did you want to say anything specific about that?
I didn't participate in that part, but I knew a lot of people who were involved in that. By that time, you had a lot of black vendors who were asserting their rights too. And I did become involved with the Black Vendors Association. And it was very heartbreaking to see some of those people being mistreated during the demonstrations. But Hurt Park should never be forgotten. It was very focal. It was a focal point for the black vendors of Atlanta, where you saw a lot of them around the 5 Points area. All they were trying to do was make a honest living, and they had a right to assert their rights to do that. A lot of those same vendors were Vietnam veterans, and were couldn't find jobs when they came back. Some of them were suffering from, we didn't know at that time, but Agent Orange and PTS, what is it, post-traumatic stress syndrome, I think it is. So they had a lot of issues that needed to have been addressed. And a lot of those vendors not only fought for their right to integrate Hurt Park as well as other facilities, they used that medium, that particular place to talk about the Vietnam War and what they had experienced and how it affected them. So, no, I was not a part, but I definitely supported their efforts to do that.
So let's talk about the protests like Riches and Crystals and Dobbs House, and you don't have to specify, but I really would like for you to tell the story with Riches, This Christmas Give Freedom, and that whole campaign that you all executed.
We really went out to, Riches was focal because that was one of the main department stores in Atlanta. My mother worked, rented, shop there. All of us shopped there. And one of the things that we decided to do, the Atlanta student movement decided to do, was to stop forge an economic boycott. And I can remember my mother being a part of that, and other people who rode the major bus lines in Atlanta refusing to take the buses downtown and refusing to shop at Rich's or Davidson's, simply because our dollars counted too. And we wanted to get that point over. I can remember my mother and other ladies in the community not riding the Atlanta transit system. However, there were older men in the community who had retired. They would take their cars and take these ladies all the way to Buckhead, these maids, all the way to Buckhead. The movie The Butler makes me think about those times. It also reminds me that